haven't been meeting their goals, I mean, why would you award them more work on top of them not meeting their goals for the past 5 or 6 or 7 years?
Well, we'll talk about that as we continue. I'm Al McFarlane. You're listening to Conversations with Al McFarlane. One of the architects of mobilizing the community to respond to the challenge is Mr. Lewis King. I'm going to ask Lewis to talk about what HIRE is doing. HIRE stands for Healthcare, Infrastructure, and Renewable Energy. But before I do that, I want to say that we're pleased to have by video conference Bernie Arsenault. He is the director of Minnesota Department of Transportation's Policy, Safety, and Strategic Initiatives Division. And Bernie, first of all, thank you for joining us to be part of this conversation as well. Can you hear me? Okay, let me actually start with you and take 1 minute to say what the policy authority is. What is the state's role policy-wise in making sure that our communities are involved in the stimulus package and in rebuilding our state?
Well, in my division, which is Policy, Safety, and Strategic Initiatives, we have the Office of External Civil Rights. And that's the office that's directly related to the DBE goals and the OJT goals and the training programs that we have relative to the contracts that we deliver through our Trunk Highway Fund and the programming here at MnDOT. And so, as we get into this discussion, I'll be able to describe for you some of the things we've been doing organizationally and collaboratively to help grow the program and build a truly sustainable program that's going to benefit all stakeholders.
Thank you. Lewis King, what are the parameters for our community? What should we be aware of? Where do we want this opportunity to produce benefit for our people?
The equation is fairly straightforward. In the case of MnDOT, their projections said that there would be 12,000 jobs created statewide based on the stimulus package and 7,000 jobs in the metro area. It is our position that we should work vigorously to secure 25% of those jobs, or approximately 1,800 jobs from communities of color and women and poor people in general who have been left out of this equation for so long. And the stimulus package is a macro investment which is intended to have impact at the micro level. In other words, put people to work. And this is very critical during a time when credit markets are frozen and people won't lend. Therefore, government is the only place that we can get spending. And if you are not a part of this activity, you will not get the experience. You will not build the relationships with the employers. You will not have the skills. In the case of the department, I'm very pleased to have met Mr. Arsenault, and I think that he's a fine gentleman and is doing the very best that he can. I say that in all sincerity, and I think the commissioner's heart is in the right place also. But it is the responsibility of the community to act vigorously and to insert a certain amount of, if you will, haste and pressure on the situation, because we are having 2 lettings per month. That is, they're giving out 2 sets of contracts per month. And while we're going through a process, money is still being spent, and I really appreciate all the efforts that are being put forth, but we need action. We need demonstrable change right now so that people can get in the game today, because as I heard in the previous segment, there are contractors out there who really do not believe that water is wet. And what I look to the department for, and I trust that Mr. Arsenault and his people, their primary role, in addition to designing and the projects and handing out the money, is compliance. And I think that we have enough robust training systems out here to meet their needs. I encourage them to do 2 things. The first is engage with the training experts who can meet the demand, so that we can take the argument off the table that they can't find good people. I think that we've demonstrated over the past 36 months that we can build a suit, if you will. And then secondly, I think that we have to have public displays of compliance that earns the public's trust, so that we really believe that the department is not simply engaging in a paper drill, but actually has teeth in what it does, and that the contractors get it. They cannot take taxpayer money. They cannot make money off the gas tax, even though that it's down. We still pay that tax regardless of race, gender, age, or where we live. And we not only deserve, we demand equity. And we look to the department to be our representatives. And right now, the contractors, the primes, do not take that seriously, and there's no evidence to support any argument otherwise. And because of that, we're about to engage in a series of discussions with the department that I think is going to energize the system within the next 15 to 30 days. If not, then we will have to seek other measures. And as you're aware, 12 months ago, we were fully prepared to do that with the ballpark. That being said, I commend Mr. Arsenault for his efforts. And he understands that we are partners in this venture. And while we may not always agree on how things get done, we certainly share the same vision for the outcome, and that is an equitable distribution of the opportunities afforded by these projects. And for people who want to learn more, on April 20th, we will host a gathering at the state capitol. It is my intent to turn out 20,000 people from all corners of Minnesota. I was up in Duluth yesterday meeting with people, and we have people in southern Minnesota. We are organizing across the state. This is not a North Minneapolis matter. It's not a black matter or an Asian matter or a gay or lesbian or poor people's matter. This is a Minnesota matter, and lots of people care. We're going to have 20,000 people on the lawn at the Capitol on April 20th at 3 o'clock, and we need everyone there. And we need our corporate friends there because, as we saw last week, no one is immune. Even the people at 3M who have those good jobs, and they say it's not about them, 1,200 of them are now facing being laid off. We all have to show up to say that we expect equity as this stimulus package is spent in the state of Minnesota.
Bernie, let me ask you to respond briefly to how do you then invite and respond to the initiative coming from the community led by Mr. King and others who are simply saying we demand a stake in the spending?
Well, thank you, and I appreciate Lewis's comments. And we have met, and it's been nice to chat with him about some of the issues that are facing the community and really the transportation industry in general. What I'm really pleased to say is last April, about a year ago right now, we got a new commissioner, Commissioner Sorrell, and he clearly brought with him a little different way of doing business than we had in the past, and that was to engage our stakeholders and to work to understand what the needs are of those stakeholders as we deliver the transportation program. And so as a part of that, my division was actually formed based on his vision of how MnDOT ought to be delivering transportation in Minnesota. And he is a great proponent, as am I, of our civil rights programs, our DBEs, our OJT training programs, and representation from all demographics across the state of Minnesota. And so that's one of the reasons that the Office of Civil Rights came into this division, which was really some of the guiding principles that I have taken with me in this division is to deal with some of the transparency issues, the public trust and confidence, and clearly in our area of civil rights there has been issues that there's been concerns on behalf of the community as to how well MnDOT is implementing this program. And so we put this as one of, if not our highest priority in really looking to transform what we had been doing and create a sustainable program that will provide the representation that we all believe is essential. And we began back in December. We created what we're calling our DBE and Workforce Development Group. And the purpose of pulling together this collaborative team was to deal with the numbers that we have achieved over the past, say, 6, 8, 10 years, which we're not happy with and the community is not happy with. And we believe that it is our responsibility to move those numbers to a different level.
Let me hold you up there for a minute. Let me hold up for a second, and we're going to take it from there in a couple of minutes.